What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech Productions. Today I, Bancroft, am going over another deck profile. Not just any deck profile, but of course, the one, the only, Golden Frieza. So, this was the deck where I was debating about taking the Gen Con because every big event I've gone to, I've always taken Prison. It's kind of like my thing now. I just do it because why not? And maybe, hey, be that one guy who tops a Prison. I decided not to this time, and I took the Soul Striker AOD deck, which I profiled either yesterday or the day before. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. But I still wanted to show off my new Prison because, you know, why not? Also, some of you were asking about the build as well. So here it is. Keep in mind, there's buttons down below. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. Alright, Frieza. It's your standard Frieza leader card, so you can't incorporate, your Prison leader card, so you can't incorporate battle cards that cost 3 or less in your deck. That includes Champas. Don't put them in there. They're battle cards, not extra cards. Activate main, search top 5 cards for a red extra card, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. If your life's 4 or less, draw 2 cards. Once you've awakened, and you've done it right, you search first, then awaken, then you activate main on your back side, which is an additional draw. So potentially in one turn, you could draw 4 cards to your hand from your deck, which is pretty nice. This leader has an auto when this card is attacked by a battle card, you may choose one Frieza's army card in your hand, place it in your drop area. If you do, negate that attack and the skill for the duration of the turn. That's a once per turn auto, which is pretty nice. So every turn you should be feeling pretty okay. Now, I did adjust my ratios for this deck. I don't actually play as many Frieza's Army cards as I used to. But let's get into it. So we'll start with the extra cards, because that's what the leader searches for. My favorite negate, Perilous Technique. Negate the attack, name your leader cards, red Frieza's Army, choose your opponent's leader, and all of their battle cards, and they get minus 5,000 power for the duration of turn. Not a bad one. 2, testing the opposition, because sometimes I would get down to 4 life, and 5 life, and depending on what my opponent's playing with, it's not always nice to just negate, play the block, and then have your other energy for whatever you need it for, or sometimes they'll push towards your unison instead of your leader to stop you from awakening, which is still fine, because if you want me to search for extra cards, I'll search for extra cards all day long. 2, Violent Rays. Like I said, this deck searches for extra cards, so 2 felt like it's pretty good. If I were to take this one at Gen Con, I would have had a 3rd Violent Ray in my sideboard. But it stops the attack, and then you discard a card, choose either battle cards or unisons, and your opponent can attack with those that have 20,000 power or more. 20,000 power or more. So this is where I get a little bit different. Because once you establish a unison, these are free to play, and there's no restrictions to the amount of times you can play this in one turn. I've had games where I've had to do 2 in one turn, which is not bad. But it's a counterattack that gets right past barrier and negs the attacking card, either a battle card or leader card by 15, which is, like I said, not bad at all. The permanent, like I said, it's free, so why not do it? And I went ahead and did 4 of the Frieza's Death Ball. I was originally going to run this as a 2 of, I think, or a 3 of, but I finally decided to push up to a 4 of because I'm focusing more on the battle sequence than I am on negating attacks as well now, especially with that new super combo, which we'll go over later. 1, cease to exist. It gets rid of a barrier card with a battle power 25,000 power or less. So anything that's problematic, this will take care of it. It is a 1 of. If this was the deck I was taking the Gen Con, I would have put another one in my sideboard to make it a 2 of in the deck. So those are the extra cards. Keep in mind, all these extra cards are also searched by the Frost Unison. It's a blocker, 15k for 2 energy, plus 1, search top 4 cards of your deck for a mono red extra card, add it to your hand. The -2, if your leader card's red, Frieza BR, add up to 2 mono red extra cards from your drop area back to your hand, so it likes to cycle cards. And I had a game against Jake, I think you all might have seen that one already, where I was just cycling these Wolfang Fists back to my hand constantly with that -2, which was pretty nice. And it becomes a very threatening thing against a deck that likes to try to go aggro, because at that point, you're potentially clearing their whole board. So, talk about these extra cards. Anniversary brought out 4 beautiful cards, which is 1 card really. It's just I played 4 of them in the deck because you want to play 4. King Cole, Blessing of the Clan. It is the super combo for Prison, something we've all asked for and we finally got. It is a battle card, it costs 4, it is red, it is super combo. So, permanent. If this card would leave your combo area, you move from the game instead, which is fine. Auto, which is a limit 1, so you can only do this once per turn. And keep in mind, this also really only benefits you during your opponent's turn, where this deck likes to kind of play off of. If your leader card is red, Frieza BR card, and your life is 3 or less, and it's your opponent's turn, When this card is used in a combo from your hand, the next time you would activate a mono red extra card with original energy cost of 3 or less, this turn, reduce its activation cost by 1 red. So, that being said, you can super combo, and then immediately do the Frieza's Death Ball. If you have a Unison on board, and they swing at your lead, you can Wolf Fang Fist, super combo, Frieza's Death Ball, and that's potentially negating a card by 25. So this super combo is a very beautiful thing. You do not need extra draws in this deck. It does it the way it needs to. So we're good on that. So next bit of cards are at the actual Frieza Army cards. 2, Leo Kikuno. If I were to pay 1 to come with this card, you get to add a red extra card back to your hand from your drop area, which is pretty nice. And I play 4 of the Irate Emperor, which I never use the activate main, because typically paying 5 energy for a 25 card that does nothing for you besides just a single strike is pretty bad. So the auto is why I keep this card in my deck. If your leader card is red for his army card and there's 2 or more mono red extra cards in your drop area, when this card is used in a combo, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 10,000 power for a turn. And this is a 1 energy for 10,000 combo power, so this technically against battle cards is a 20k power difference, which is pretty nice. These 6 cards are also negates for the awakened side of the leader. I do not play the Searcher in this deck just because these are the only 6 I play. I wanted to focus this build on a different route, so I didn't feel like those extra cards were as necessary. With the leader searching the deck for extra cards, the Unison searching the deck for extra cards, I feel like you're thinning the deck out enough. I will see at least one of those cards. I just hang on to it unless I have to use it. So for additional battle cards going to the board, Topo. It's also a negate, which if your opponent were to attack, they have to discard 2 cards from their hand to make the attack. So 2, Vegeta Exploding Weakness. It's a counterplay for 3 energy that negs the board by 20,000 power. And then it boosts your leader by 5k. So if your opponent plays a battle card, you just, boom, negative field, makes your leader 20k. If you're awakened, 15k unawakened. And from there, if they want to continue pushing, they may have to combo cards off from their hand as well. Alright, so going to the new engine in this deck, thanks to set 13. 3, Vegeta 5 drops. We never played this card. 3, Goku 5 drops. We never play that card. But these cards make the 5-drop Gogeta, which we will play. With Deflect, costs 3 energy to play. You draw 2 cards as part of the Union Fusion. So you get that regardless, which is pretty nice. This card cannot be KO'd. And then, if your leader card is red, when this card is played, choose up to one of your red Unisons, add a marker to it, which is always a beautiful thing. Then you choose all of your opponent's battle cards, and they get minus 15,000 power for the turn. And then once you establish that, you immediately free evolve it into the 6-drop. Practically has the same auto where it can't be KO'd. This card gains double strike. The new autos now on this card is that when a card evolves into this card, choose up to one of your red Unisons, add 2 markers to it, and you can't play battle cards for the turn. That's fine. The secondary auto is when this card or one of your opponent's cards attack, you may choose one of your opponent's cards and it gets negative 20,000 power for the battle. If you do, you can get this go for the turn. So it potentially could stop your opponent swings at you. If you negate, you still proc the auto to neg something else out on the field. It could potentially stop 2 attacks, which is pretty, or stop an additional attack without you having to waste any resources, which is always nice. So that's the chain we kind of added to it. Originally, I was playing this as a 4-of, and if I was taking this, once again, this build to Gen Con, I would add 1 additional each of these cards to my deck if I felt like I needed to see them. But in the testing, using the leader's front side Searcher, using the Unison's Searcher, I felt like the deck ran into a problem where I didn't see enough extra cards. So I reduced the battle cards, increased the extra cards a little bit, just to make sure I saw the ability to thin my deck out, which helps drawing these in the long run. Now, as you can see, this deck has a lot of ways of potentially negging stuff out on my opponent's board. So going off that aspect, I decided to put 1 of the 8-drop SSB Gogetas into this deck, which choose 2 cards from your hand, place them in your drop area. Red Gogeta BR with energy cost of 6, so there's your target. Kaboom! Double strike. This card can't be KO'd, and it can attack battle cards that are in active mode. The auto though on this card is when this card evolves into, when a card evolves into this card, there are no battle cards in play in your opponent's battle area. Choose 2 cards in your opponent's life, place them in the drop area, and then you cannot play this card for the remaining turn, which is fine. So typically you would play this with the 5-drop, hopefully clearing the board. If not, you have extra cards in your hand to help clear the board, keep your opponent's board empty. If your opponent still has a board when you go into your turn, get that first swing off right there to get the swings in, or you can evolve. Or you can play the unison that negs the whole board by 25k. And then once you've done that, you can turn around, evolve. If your opponent has 2 life, that kills them right there and then. So, kind of 2 additional ways of ending the game. If you're not familiar with the unison, dual attack, blocker, +1 when your opponent attacks a battle card. You get +1, negative the battle card by 25,000, which is pretty cool. The -4, activate main. This card gains 15,000 power and triple strike for the turn. Then at the end of the turn, you switch this card to active mode. So it gives you 2 triple strikes attacks that are 40k. If somehow your opponent survives that, it's a blocker. You're getting it back on your turn, which is always nice. Now, the issue people have with the Gogeta chain is that there are a ton of ways of getting rid of them. So that's why I incorporated 2 strategies to the Universe 7. Choose all red standing cards in your battle area. They gain barrier until the end of your opponent's next turn. And I felt like 2 was enough because, like I said, everything searches for extra cards practically. And this way you play it, you immediately strategist, and that way you have it protected for the remaining of the your opponent's turn. Last but not least, just for extra pressure in case I needed it, Overrun, Bardock, dual attack, 25k. And keep in mind, if you were to potentially go for turn, either off the 6-drop or going into the 8-drop, sorry, 8-drop's unavoid, sorry. Play this before you go into this, or just hold off another turn. You should have the energy for it. In my honest opinion, you should never go into this on turn 3 because you never want to fully tap out with the prison deck, even though you do have the super combos to kind of to lean back on to play additional extra cards. Keep in mind that though that's only once per turn, and if you use it at the wrong time, you could be screwed. With that being said, that is the prison deck. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. If there's anything you think I should change, let me know as well. With that being said, thank you for tuning in, and keep in mind there's buttons down below on the screen as I do this outro. Wait, it is over. Keep in mind, read cards, mistakes, and plays. Bye.